Welcome to everyone joining us. My name is Russell Best. I'm one of the executive directors of Alumni and Donor Experience for the Alumni Association. You're tuned in to There's No Place Like Home with 100 Things to Do in Philadelphia, presented by our Philadelphia Alumni Network. Thanks to Suzanne and to Jennifer for putting this together with Irene. Just a few quick housekeeping items. We are recording this, like I mentioned, so that we can send this out later, and we'll post this to the Alumni Association's YouTube page, which is what we've been doing with all of our virtual programs. Really excited that one of our national networks, like Philadelphia, took the initiative to do a program like this fall, so thank you once again. When everybody enters this virtual meeting, they'll be on mute. So once we get into the presentation and conversation and Q&A, please just remember to unmute yourself if you'd like to ask questions. I will also be monitoring our participant panel and the chat panel. So if you have questions, you can type them into the Q&A box, or if you start talking but your mic is still muted, I can go on over and click your mic and unmute you for you. Just a quick reminder that participants were encouraged to join via the WebEx app, not the browser. We have a brief video here that we're going to show. Sometimes it doesn't display quite right in the WebEx browser, but hopefully you all joined via the app and aren't going to have any problems with our video presentation here. So with all that being said, let me shift things over to a quick introductory video from the Executive Director of the Alumni Association, Jen Heisey.
Welcome to today's program, one of many offered by your UC Alumni Association. Before we begin, it's important for me to say thank you for joining us. By actively participating in our offerings and experiences, you are harnessing the power of your alumni network. There are Bearcats all over the world, more than 315,000 alumni in 127 countries, which makes virtual programs like this so rewarding. These challenging times do come with a silver lining. We are more connected than ever before, creating boundless opportunities. The University of Cincinnati and each of you is stronger and better positioned because of our lifelong connections through our alma mater. We love providing opportunities like this one, where alumni can learn, network, and give back. So settle in and enjoy today's program. And if you like what you hear today, please share it on social media using the hashtag #ThyLoyalChildren. Thanks again for joining us. Go Bearcats!
So I'm pleased to introduce Suzanne Wagstaff, one of the Philadelphia Alumni Network leaders. Suzanne, the virtual room is yours.
Well, hello and thank you. It is my absolute pleasure, as is Jen. She is my partner in crime with the Philadelphia Alumni Network. And it is our unique and very special pleasure to introduce to you guys Irene Levy Baker, who is the author of 100 Things to Do in Philadelphia Before You Die, the first and second editions, and Unique Eats and Eateries of Philadelphia. She is also the owner and take two. She's the owner of Spotlight Public Relations, a firm specializing in restaurants and hospitality. And she comes to us because she is a UC grad who lived in Sanders Hall. And she, like all of us, is still addicted to graters, but prefers cheesesteaks to chili. She is always hungry for adventures that will surprise and delight her readers. So, Irene, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Suzanne, Russell, and Jen. Thanks so much for inviting me tonight. I think we can all agree that 2020 has not been the best year, especially to launch a book with a title like this. A friend of mine kiddingly suggested, maybe I want to change the title to something more like this. But whatever you call it, what really gives a book a fighting chance is what's between the front and the back cover. And what's between the front and the back cover of this book are 100 staycation ideas. We live in Philadelphia. Well, most of us here do. And so we don't think of Philadelphia as a vacation spot, but it is. And you don't have to take my word for it. National Geographic called Philadelphia one of the best places to visit. And it was the only US city on the list. Why? Because Philadelphia is full of new and exciting things. New restaurants, new attractions, new parks, and even a new skyscraper. The Comcast Technology Tower. If you haven't been downtown lately, maybe you haven't seen it up close, but you can see it probably, Jen, you probably can see it all the way out there in Radnor, because it's the tallest building between New York and Chicago. On the 59th and 60th floor are John George Restaurant and Sky High Bar. And you take a 48-second glass elevator ride up to the top, and there are unbelievable views of all of Philadelphia. If you have somebody you want to impress, this is the place to take them. My book is full of tips, and one of the tips I give you about Sky High Bar and John George Restaurant is make your reservation right before sunset so you can see the beautiful view during the day and also see it at night. Sky High Bar is open now. John George, not yet, but they expect it to open soon. Now, in addition to new places, Philadelphia is full of lesser known places that longtime locals might not even know about. What you're looking at here is Cowtown Rodeo, the view of the Schuylkill River from Laurel Hill Cemetery, and Legoland. Tonight, I'm going to tell you why there's no place like home and how we can take staycations that are fun and also help local businesses. I'm going to tell you about some new attractions in Philadelphia, some lesser known sites, and then I'm going to share some tips on good places to social distance and how we can help restaurants survive with limited capacity. But first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. People are surprised to hear that even though I write books about Philadelphia, I'm not a native Philadelphian. I'm a Philadelphian by choice, not by birth. I lived in Youngstown, Ohio, then Cincinnati, like we all did, then Michigan, Virginia, North Carolina, and Pittsburgh before coming to Philadelphia. But I've been here a good long time. I moved here in 1993, and I immediately started working for the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau. My job was to give tours to travel writers, and I looked for ways to surprise and delight them. And I do the same things with my readers in my books. Then I started a PR firm, Spotlight Public Relations, and I specialize in restaurants and hospitality. And that's where I learned the tips I put in my books. About 5 years ago, Reedy Press, a national publisher out of St. Louis, approached me about writing the 100 Things to Do in Philadelphia book. Things with that book went so well that I agreed to write the Unique Eats and Eateries of Philadelphia book. That book tells the stories behind 90 Philadelphia restaurants. Sweet stories, spicy stories, love stories, failed bomb hits. And by the time that one was done, it became clear that there was a compelling need for a second edition of 100 Things to Do in Philadelphia. Now you can imagine, if you write books like this, you become a personal concierge for your friends, for your family, for your coworkers. They are always asking me, where should I take my kids on break? Where should I take my grandkids? Where should I take my in-laws or my college roommate when they're in town? I'm going to share with you the secrets I tell them. Take your kids or your grandkids to Legoland. This place is charming. What you're looking at here is a skyline of Philadelphia made of 1.5 million Legos. There are delightful things around every corner at Legoland. There are life-size animals made of Legos. And there's a 4D theater. What does 4D mean? When the wind blows in the movie, you can feel it. And you can guess what happens when it rains in the movie. One thing I like about Legoland is that kids can use their gross motor skills or their fine motor skills. They can do step-by-step Lego making lessons, or they can run through an obstacle course made with laser beams or up a pirate ship. If this doesn't tire them out, I suggest taking them to Cowtown Rodeo. If you grew up in the Northeast or in the Midwest and you've never been to a rodeo except on TV, this is an experience. There's horse racing and bull riding, and it is hilarious. If you have a cowboy hat in the back of your closet that you've only worn on Halloween, this is a place where you can wear it and not look out of place. Now, what if your kids are a little older than that? I suggest taking them to Franklin Square. This is one of the original 5 squares that William Penn designed when he designed the city of Philadelphia. This one has a putt-putt, and anyone who's ever been to the Jersey Shore loves putt-putt. But what's different about the putt-putt here is that all of the obstacles are Philadelphia icons. There's a mini Liberty Bell, mini Philadelphia Museum of Art steps, also known as the Rocky Steps. There's a Chinese Friendship Gate, Elfreth's Alley, Independence Hall. So have fun with your teens playing putt-putt. But while you do, be sure to take a picture of your teen next to every one of those obstacles. And I'll tell you why. Because then you can take them to the real things. Suddenly, they become interested in going to the real things because it's like a scavenger hunt. What you're looking at here is a picture of me on the Love statue at Franklin Square and the real Love statue. They make excellent social media posts, and every teen is looking for excellent social media posts. Now, what should you do if your visitor with your teen after you take them to play golf? I recommend the Fashion District. This is the new mall where Market East used to be. It's bigger and it's brighter, and it has ordinary mall stores, but it also has things like the beef jerky store, the Scene on TV store, and some local stores. But that's not why I'm suggesting it for you and your teen. I'm suggesting it because of this. This is Wonderland. This is an interactive art gallery with optical illusions, virtual reality, and things like this. It's very cool and fun. What if your visitor is your in-laws? In that case, I suggest taking them to the new Museum of the American Revolution. This museum is the newest one in Philadelphia's historic district. It opened in 2017. But to me, it pulls together everything in the historic district because it explains why we fought the Revolutionary War, how we fought the Revolutionary War, and it looks at phrases like all men were created equal from the perspective of women, Blacks, and Native Americans. It gives you a whole new perspective. I suggest starting with the brief orientation so you can get a refresher on what you missed from American history in high school or at UC, and end with the in the theater where you can see the real tent that George Washington slept in. The museum is reopened right now with social distancing. And what if your in-laws are super cool like mine are, or if your college roommate's coming to town, where would you take them? I suggest one of Philadelphia's secret speakeasies. There's a whole list of speakeasies in the book, including tips on how to get into them. What you're looking at here is Hopsing Laundromat. And I know it doesn't look like much, and that's intentional. There is no sign. because you have to know where it is. When you get there, you ring the little doorbell next to the gate. If you're wearing flip-flops or shorts or a baseball cap, you're not going to get in. And even if you get in, you are not going to stay if you pull out your phone and take a picture. They will not only kick you out, but they will put you on a list of people who are banned for life. There are 1,600 people on that list, and you do not want to be one of them. So why would you want to go there? Well, Condé Nast named it not the best bar in the city, not even the best bar in the state, not the best bar in the country, but the best bar in the world. Since there's just a few of us here tonight, I'm going to live dangerously and show you what it looks like. All the tables are far apart. That's for privacy. That's from way before there was social distancing. And all the drinks are high-end with high-end liquors and freshly squeezed juices and infusions. You can find a list of more secret speakeasies in the book. Philadelphia has plenty of them. Now I'd like to share some tips with you about good places to social distance. What you're looking at here in the upper right is one of my very favorites. This is Laurel Hill Cemetery. This is a historic cemetery where you'll find people buried there like Civil War generals, victims from the Titanic, people with names like Wanamaker, Strawbridge, and Rittenhouse. The grave you're looking at here is Harry Callis. He was the former announcer for the Phillies, and his headstone is a giant microphone, and it's surrounded by seats from the vet. They welcome people walking around. The gates are unlocked from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And it's not only are the tombstones very interesting, but there are also beautiful views looking out over the Schuylkill River. Down below that is one of Philadelphia's murals. Philadelphia is the mural capital of the world with nearly 4,000 murals. They are once again offering socially distanced guided mural tours, which are very fun because you learn not only where the pretty pictures are, but the stories behind them. Like this one, I don't know if anyone recognizes it and knows where it is. If you guessed it's on Spruce Street near 13th, you're correct. It's on the side of the building that houses Vetri. And for those of you who are not from Philadelphia, this is one of Philadelphia's top restaurants. Mark Vetri, the chef, is painted into this picture on the far right above the van. So the picture's of an Italian countryside because it's an Italian restaurant, but Mark Vetri is squeezed over there in the side. If you don't want to take a socially distant tour, you can also take a self-guided tour. They can be found on Mural Arts websites. There's also a phone app that you can use to find murals around you in real time. Behind the words, you'll see FDR Park. That is in South Philly, great place to social distance. Other places I recommend are Laurel Hill West, which is another portion of the cemetery out by the main line if you live out that way. Preservation Alliance offers architecture tours. These are led by retired architects, and they show you things in your own neighborhood or other neighborhoods that you might walk by every day and never notice. They have you looking at neighborhoods with fresh eyes. They are being offered, again, socially distanced, and they also offer self-guided tours that you can find on their website. The next place I recommend is the Audubon Center. The new John James Audubon Birding Museum is in Mill Grove. It just reopened again last week, and they have 4 miles of birding trails. And I'm here to tell you, the early bird really does get the worm. If you're going out on those birding trails, the earlier you get there, the more birds you'll see. You can also social distance safely at the Navy Yard, and they just started an outdoor art exhibit. So as you walk around the Navy Yard, you'll come across all kinds of interesting contemporary outdoor art. The John Hines Wildlife Refuge near the airport. The Association for Public Art is a tour of Philadelphia's amazing outdoor sculpture. You can find the tour on their website. and any college campus. Many of the college campuses are quiet right now. The kids are taking virtual tours, doing their classes virtually, and you can walk around those campuses. They're beautiful. There's plenty of space to walk around. And Philadelphia has more than 100 colleges and universities, so we may as well be using their campuses. Now I'd like to tell you how to help restaurants survive with limited capacity. I have tips for those people who are eating in restaurants right now, tips for those people who are not comfortable eating in restaurants but are doing takeout, and a couple of tips that won't cost you anything but will really help restaurants. My first tip is that you should wear a mask even when you're seated. I wear a mask at a restaurant anytime I'm not putting food or drink in my mouth. I know some people think that's extreme, but please wear your mask anytime you order, plates are delivered, or plates are cleared, because it's very important that we protect our servers and anyone that works in a restaurant. Tip number 2, because the restaurants have limited capacity, they aren't making as much money as they usually do. So now is not the time to linger. I recommend to people to eat, order, eat, and leave. I have one friend who gets dessert to go and eats it in the park or eats it when she gets home so the restaurant can have her table back. That allows them to get more people in since they can only be at 50% capacity inside. I have another friend who orders a second dinner to go and has that the next night. So she helps the restaurant and she gets 2 restaurant meals out of every visit. And also over tip. The servers are seeing half the numbers of tables they usually do. So if you can over tip, you can really help those servers. And my last tip, if you're eating in restaurants, is think beyond Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Eat early, take those 5 o'clock reservations, eat late at those 8:30 reservations. Better yet, eat on weeknights because restaurants really need to fill those side tables in order to survive. If you're only doing takeout, if you can possibly pick up rather than having caviar or Grubhub delivered, do that. And even if you want to have delivery, call the restaurant directly, because anything that goes through a delivery service, that service takes a good chunk of the profit from the restaurant. So it really helps the restaurant if you call them directly. Number 2, buy gift certificates. Some restaurants are even offering gift certificates at a discount right now. Like Vernick has offered them 20% off periodically. Estia has offered gift certificates periodically through the pandemic at 20% off. But don't use them now. The restaurants need every penny they can get. So buy them now, save them till after, which hopefully won't be too long. And my third tip for restaurants is be an ambassador for them. Buy a t-shirt from your favorite restaurant and wear it when you walk around. Or get a mug and use it on Zoom meetings so that you can tell people about your favorite restaurant. You're like a walking billboard for them. Now, I have 2 tips for people that they can help restaurants without spending money. One is write reviews. Go on Yelp, TripAdvisor, Facebook, Google. Leave reviews for your favorite restaurant. Talk about what your favorite dishes are and what the atmosphere is normally like. That helps their rankings and that helps them a lot. The other tip is be social. Follow your favorite restaurants on social media. Like, comment, and share their comments, and you're helping them spread their message. So that's how you can truly help restaurants survive so that they're here when everything's over. Now that I've given you a taste for the book, I want to tell you a little bit about what else you can find in it. Lots more tips. Tips like how to make the most of restaurant week. What's the best day to go to various museums? How to get discounts there. Where you should start at the museums. And how to get into those secret speakeasies and where to find them. You'll also find itineraries for some of the ones we talked about. itineraries like for families with young children, for families with teens, for dates, for empty nesters. And the things in the book include not only Center City, Philadelphia, which for you people who are not in Philadelphia is our downtown, but also things in the 5 surrounding counties and in South Jersey. And there are 5 sections in the book: food and drink, sports and recreation, music and entertainment, history and culture, and shopping and fashion. Now that you have a taste for it, I'd like to tell you how you might be able to use it, why you might need 1 or 2 or 62. You might need 1 because it's an adventure starter. You do not want to sit down at your desk on Monday morning and realize that the only thing you did all weekend was laundry. There are 100 good ideas of things to do in the book. You can put it on the nightstand in your guest room so that you don't have to be the tour guide figuring out what your guests should do. Make them decide themselves. Or you can use it as child or grandchild bait. Send it to the kid and ask them to circle the things they'd like to do with you. You need 2 because they make very good gifts. Good holiday gifts, good retirement gifts, good shore house gifts, or something to send to your virtual team to let them know you appreciate them and want them to de-stress and take some time off and do some fun things. And businesses are using them, which is why you might want 62. Real estate agents use them as closing gifts. Many businesses like Comcast use them for recruiting to get people excited about moving to Philadelphia. And lots of businesses use them for holiday gifts for clients, board members, and employees. So now you're thinking, where can I get that book? You can get it at my website, www.100thingstodoinphiladelphia.com. That's www.100thingstodoinphiladelphia.com. Why go there instead of Amazon? Because if you get it from me, I can sign it for you. In fact, if you get it during the Q&A session in a few minutes, I'll do a virtual signing for you right here tonight so you can watch me sign it as if we were in person, and then I'll send it out to you. If you'd like more tips about Philadelphia and you'd like to know about new things opening, follow me on social media. On Facebook and Instagram, I'm 100 Things to Do in Philadelphia. And on Twitter, I'm 100 Philly. Now I'm going to go back to WebEx and answer any questions you might have. You can put them in the chat box or raise your hand and I can call on you, whatever makes you more comfortable. Thank you very much. I'm going to open the chat box and see what we have there.
We don't have anything that came in there, but I've got a question maybe to kick things off, Irene. What in Philadelphia reminds you most of Cincinnati?
Wow. Well, that's a good question. I think the thing that reminds me, 2 things come to mind. One is Philadelphia, like Cincinnati, is a river city, which makes it very easy to navigate and also makes it beautiful. The other thing is I feel like Philadelphians have a passion for their city very much and their neighborhood very much the way that Cincinnatians do. We're very much a neighborhood city like that. But that's a very interesting question. Thanks, Russell. I see something came in. Do you have any tips for those who don't have a car? I don't have a car. Fortunately, Philadelphia is an excellent walking city. It's very easy to navigate because the north-south streets are all numbered from river to river, from the Delaware River to the Schuylkill. And the east-west streets are all named after trees. So you pretty much know where you are all the time. It's much more walkable than a city like New York. And we have great public transportation. So jumping on, when the pandemic's over, jumping on the train, jumping on a bus, the subway, the regional rail. It's a super easy city to get around. So I always tell people coming to visit, don't rent a car. You can walk everywhere. And then there's Uber. So there's another option too. I think that we've answered all the questions we have. I'll stick around a minute and see if anyone else has a question. And I did promise to see if anyone wanted to do a virtual signing. So let me take a quick look and see if there's anyone that signed up for that by going to my website, which is there, 100 things to do in Philadelphia.com. And there are a lot of emails that have come in, but let's see what this one is. Barbara Gross, she's not on this call, but she just bought a book. Okay, well, I think that's everyone then. So thank you very much. If you decide later you would like a book, I created a promo code. I'm going to put it here. It is, whoops. If you decide later you'd like a book, you can get it at 100thingstodoinphiladelphia.com. Use the promo code BEARCAT until midnight tonight, and you'll get a discount. Oh, here's a question. I have 2 elderly parents. Any ideas of a place to take them? Well, Dawn, you're going to need to be careful, especially right now, to keep them well social distanced. And there are some very good places to social distance. One of them, let me tell you what some of those might be. College campuses, the ones that are closed right now and doing virtual classes, are great places. The Penn campus is nearly deserted, and it's very pretty. There's a love statue on the Penn campus. There's a Ben Franklin statue on the Penn campus. Laurel Hill Cemetery is a very lovely place. The paths are nice for walking, and the views are pretty, and there's hardly anybody there. The Navy Yard's another good place so I would take them some of those places. I don't know if you're in the suburbs, but Haddonfield, which is a really quaint little town in South Jersey, they have a new sculpture walk. They have all kinds of sculptures all over the quaint little downtown, and they have a tour on their website where you can look at the sculptures. There's a ballerina, there's a life-size giraffe, and there are animals in a children's sculpture garden. But all, again, in a very small area, so you can see them on a very short walk or potentially a drive. So those are some places I might recommend. You're in New Hope. If you're in New Hope, you might want to go by Peddler's Village. They have a scarecrow display right now. So that might be sort of fun to drive or walk around Peddler's Village and see some of those scarecrows. Okay, and I have some questions about cheesesteaks. And I would never be crazy enough to recommend one cheesesteak place, because every Philadelphian has their favorite cheesesteak place, and I'm not jumping into that fray. But I do have a recommendation for you. You must go down to South Philly with a friend and go to Pat's and Gino's, which are catty corner each other and are big rivals. You must get one cheesesteak at each place, trade one half with each of your friends, and decide which one you like the best, because they're different. And my tip is, when you eat it, be sure to lean forward, because it's going to drip, and you do not want it to drip on your pants. So that's an experience you must have. They're open 24 hours a day, and you could see a political candidate there. You could see a bride and groom after their wedding still in their bridal gear. You could see a celebrity there, or you could see me there. You just never know. Pet-friendly places for Jennifer and her little pet there. My favorite dog park is right next to Fittler Square. There is a it's right next to the Schuylkill River banks. There's a dog park for little dogs and a dog park for big dogs. They're big, and then you can also walk the Schuylkill River banks, which runs along the Schuylkill River. You'll find walkers, joggers, inline skaters. It's beautiful along the river, and it's made for exercising. So your dog will love Schuylkill River banks too. There's plenty of dogs there, as well as in the dog park. Are there any foods unique to Philly besides cheesesteaks? Yes. Soft pretzels, which you will see people selling on the side of the road. The ones on the side of the road tend to be figure 8 shaped. You can also get them in Reading Terminal Market, which is our 125-year-old farmers market in Center City, where they sell prepared food and grocery items, meats and produce. And they're made by the Amish, and it's the traditional heart-shaped pretzel, and they are made fresh, and you can get them while they're still hot, and they are delicious. The other Philadelphia food is water ice, which is sort of a love child between a snow cone and a slushie. And Philadelphians love it, especially lemon and cherry, and you'll find lots of water ice stands in South Philadelphia, including my favorite, which is Pops at 13th and Oregon, which is run by the grandchildren of the original inventor of water ice, the granddaddy of water ice. Let's see. My husband moved to Philly and told me the best cheesesteak was in Ambler, and it was at Phil's. I really think he was right. Did you ever hear of it? I don't know if that's included in your Philly zone. So yes, Ambler's included in my Philly zone. It's a lovely, cute, quaint, walkable main street. I have never been to Phil's, but it is now on my to-do list. I'm always up for trying a new cheesesteak. How about ice cream places? I have to say that my favorite place to go for ice cream is Grand Cafe L'Aquila, which is at 17th and Chestnut. It's an authentic Italian restaurant. It was in the Abruzzi section of Italy, and there was an earthquake, and it took down the entire town. And instead of rebuilding there, the owners moved to Philadelphia because Philadelphia has the largest Abruzzi population in the United States. And the owner is a gelato expert. So I recommend going in, getting one of the authentic Italian gelatos. And then there's a pocket park right across the street. So if you don't want to be inside, you can eat it at the pocket park across the street. And Dawn, you'll find more ideas for social distancing on my website. If you hit on tips, it'll take you to a page with all kinds of tips, including great places to social distance and some of the URLs for some of the places I've talked about tonight. And do we have anything more there? No. Okay, so I've got to go. I need to have some cheesesteak at Phil's. That's new on my list. And I appreciate everyone coming. But because we all know the real favorite ice cream place is going to be Grater's. But the only place to get that in Philadelphia is Whole Foods. And apparently, according to Jen, I can get it at Waitman's too. So I have places to go. Thank you so much.
Very cool. Thank you, Irene. Just have thank you. I'm just a quick couple of things here to wrap the program up, and then I will toss it over to Jen and to Suzanne if they have anything else to add. I just want to mention a few things going on with the Alumni Association now. We are still virtual, of course, unfortunately, given circumstances, but we have a new health series that we're calling Bearcats Health. So that's something that we partnered with UT Health and the academic health centers on campus to provide a variety of health and wellness virtual programs in the coming months. You can check out those programs by going to the Alumni Association's website and just clicking on the events tab, and you'll see the Bearcats Health drop-down menu there. Bearcats Connect is a new online networking tool that we have for alumni, students, faculty, staff, and friends of UC. We launched this back in August. It's a great tool that we are encouraging all of our constituents to use so that it's more grassroots driven virtual connections. And it allows Bearcats to connect with each other rather than having to always necessarily go through like the Alumni Association, for instance. Can connect with students to maybe do flash mentoring or to provide career help. There is a Bearcats business directory there so that you can get connected with fellow like UC businesses, like you name it. So we really hope that alumni and friends of UC across the country will take advantage of that. The URL is Alumni Connect, all one word, .uc.edu. And as you might know, the first weekend in October, so that would have been October 3rd, was supposed to be homecoming. Well, of course, due to COVID, we did not celebrate as we typically would, but we still, through the month of October, we're celebrating the strength and unity of the Bearcat family. So we've been doing some virtual engagement online and still trying to connect with alumni across Bearcat Nation. And one of the things that we're doing is a social media challenge. So throughout the month, posting pictures of you at homecoming or back at UC or in your UC gear around Philadelphia, for instance, and using the hashtag UC Strength and Unity and tagging the Alumni Association, which in particular on Twitter, that's at U of Cincy Alumni. And each Tuesday, we've been drawing winners for T-shirts, merch, and swag, and we'll have a grand prize coming up at the end of the month. So this upcoming Tuesday is your last chance, but we hope that you will participate. Suzanne, Jen, anything else that you'd like to
add? No, I'm just glad you guys all came. Thank you guys so much. I enjoyed it. It's always nice to hear new things about Philly.
Absolutely. And don't forget to follow us on social media. Look for LinkedIn, Facebook, search Philly Bearcats.
Excellent. Well, thank you all. Thanks again to Irene for your presentation and for sharing your book with us. And go Bearcats.
Thanks for having me.